So what I want to talk to you guys today about is going through thyroid cancer and then now trying to conceive a child. So how I found out that I had thyroid cancer was when I was 17. I had tonsillitis, and then I went in and they found a lump on my throat, and then I went and I had biopsies, ultrasounds done on my neck, and blood tests, all kinds of things done, and all the results came back as negative. They didn't know what the lump was, so they kind of just left it. It was the size of my small fingernail. And then it started just getting a little bit bigger, and then I started getting some really odd side effects, like just tired, and my hair was thinning, really just run down, and people thought that it was just hormonal changes. Obviously I was 17. Fast forward a couple of years, when I was 19, they decided, we're going to take it out and we'll, see if that will correct itself. We might need to put you on thyroid medication. So I went in. And here in Australia, when you go to the hospital, you kind of see lots of different people, and you never really talk to the same person more than once, apart from your surgeon. So I would go in and they'd give you the list of things, and then ask you the list of questions, and then you go to a different room. And so it gets like quite confusing when you don't know what's going on. All you know is you're going in for an operation and that there shouldn't be any problems. So when I woke up from my surgery, the doctor came in that had performed it, and she had told me that there was a number of complications, things that they didn't foresee. She nicked my vocal cords, which is why my voice sounds quite deep. And she just said that there was a list of things that just happened that they weren't expecting. She couldn't tell me what they were because they didn't have a solid knowledge. And then 10 days later I went in and I was talking to someone completely different. I'd never met this person before. I wasn't speaking to the surgeon or my normal doctor. This is someone I've never met. They said, well, we've got the results back and you have thyroid cancer, and this is what we do from now. I remember just sitting there so shocked. I think that when you hear the word cancer, you automatically think, oh my goodness, I'm going to die. Like you start having all these fears, and you start thinking about your family, and it was just, I was a teenager. And he was like, now this is what we do. I was just in shock because I'd been told, for such a long time that it was nothing, like it was just a lump and that I'd be perfectly fine. So to know what a thyroid is, everybody has a thyroid. Now a thyroid is a small butterfly shaped gland. I'm not entirely, it's in your neck and it's the shape of a butterfly. And whenever I'd go in to talk to these number of people, they would all draw it for me, just like that. They'd draw it on a bit of paper. They'd say that's what it looks like in your neck, and that's where the lump was. Now the lump had started leaking, so that's why they were very concerned. They wanted to get it out so I could start having treatment right away. So your thyroid, everybody has one, unless you've had a thyroidectomy or, So your thyroid produces your hormone. It regulates the body's metabolic rate, controlling heart, muscle, and digestive function, brain development, and bone maintenance. So it controls everything, and if you don't have one, you will die. Now, after they took me, and I had the rest of the thyroid taken out, so they took the left side out first. 6 weeks later, I went in and I had the right side taken out. They put me on thyroxine right away. I am 6 foot tall, so I'm quite tall for a woman, but they had put me on like a dose, I guess you'd say, for an average Australian woman, which I'm pretty sure is like around 5'6", 5'7", and probably weighs around 50 to 70 kilos. So I'm quite tall, so my body right away, I couldn't recover from the second operation because the thyroid level and the hormones was just way too low. And then I had 6 weeks to recover, and have my body somewhat start to get used to being on the thyroxine before I went in and I had the radiation treatment. Now, here in Australia where I live, when I went in again and I spoke to a bunch of different doctors and my general GP. And I knew the time and date that it was going to happen, and there's a 10-day period leading up to it where you go on a special diet, you stop taking all thyroid medication, and then a couple of days before you go in for the treatment, you go in and you get injections, which are not fun. They go into your thigh and they just, it was horrible. I felt like vomiting all the time, and you're already so kind of malnutrition from the diet you're on, because you're on a low iodine diet, so you can't basically eat anything. So my body was just really trying to catch up with everything that was going on. So I just spent most of the time just sleeping and just so tired and still in pain from the surgery. And then when I went in for the radiation treatment, it was 3 days of solitary confinement. You don't talk to anybody. You have someone kind of just come in and they shove the meal and then close the door and leave. And then you have the doctor guy come in and he's wearing this little suit and he holds out a Geiger counter to make sure you are not still lethally radioactive, I guess. It was just, I don't know, something from a movie. So it feels like it's happening to someone else, not to you. So after 3 days of that, I went and then I had the CAT scan or the CT scan to make sure it just distributed evenly through my body, because the cancer was leaking through the cyst. I just wanted to make sure it had got everywhere. And then of course a month later I went and I had another checkup and another scan, and they said that it was perfect, everything was fine, and that I shouldn't worry about it at all. And then the next year I went for a follow-up and I had to do the low iodine diet again, and the injections in the thighs, and be taken off the thyroxine again for 10 days. A year later, but I didn't have to go into solitary confinement for that. It was a lower dosage and I got to stay at home, which was a lot nicer. It becomes very isolating when you go through all of that, and I think even when your family and your friends, you talk about it, they don't understand, because you are always alone and you're talking to different doctors and you're seeing different people, and your life just really does revolve around the hospital and treatments, and it can get really lonely. So I guess now, I get almost 5 years later, I'm married now, I'm a lot older, I'm 24 compared to being 19. But you look back on it and it still has really impacted your life to where you are. The months of going through all of that, it happened so fast but so slow at the same time. So the hardest part for me hasn't been going through it, it's been the aftermath of, you get used to people treating you so fragile, and like if you do anything you're gonna break, like you're a piece of glass. And now that you are perfectly healthy and fine and you've been kicked out into the real world, it's a shock, because you're trying to learn how to redo things. You're trying to learn how to be in a community again when you've just gotten so used to being isolated. My husband and I, we talk, and when we're at church and things, and you're talking with people and you think, oh my goodness, why would I say anything like that? Like, you feel like you're making a fool of yourself, but it's just because you've really forgotten how to talk to people outside of your family, because you've just been so isolated with them for such a long time. So getting to the second part of this, it's now a couple of years later and we're trying to conceive. Now, when I went through all the treatments and things, I'd asked about some of the side effects, and people had said, well, radiation, you might have loss of memory, it might not be as good. I struggle a lot with my memory now, not so much in the beginning, a couple of months after, it was fine, but I'm noticing more of the side effects now. My general doctor, she told me that I wouldn't have any problems trying to conceive, it should be fine. My body was really healthy, and praise the Lord, it really reacted perfectly fine to the radiation, and I'm generally healthy. I went and I had a bunch of tests done 6 months ago just to see what our chances were, and she said that my husband and I have the same chances as everybody else. So that was a bit of a relief. But I think when you go through the treatment and things like that, and then you get told that you should wait a certain amount of time to try to conceive, and we've waited that amount of time, but I think in the back of your mind you still think, well, what if this happens and what if that happens? But I guess every parent, they worry about that when you are about to set on this journey, like if the baby's going to be healthy, because that's all you want. Like I know people say, oh, we'd love a girl or we'd love a boy, but I think at the end of the day, all you want is your baby to be happy and healthy. So we're in the season of life now where we're trying to conceive and we're trying to move ahead, with life and just sort of put that chapter behind us. You get reminded of what you went through every single morning when you have to take your thyroxine. And if you don't take your thyroxine when you should, or if you eat too soon after taking it, it's a lifelong sentence, really, because every single day you're reminded of what you've been through. Or when you get like a sore throat, you start worrying about things like that. I've known loads of people that have gone through cancer, not thyroid cancer, some of them have gone through bowel cancer or colon cancer and things like that. It's nothing that enters their mind anymore. They've just gone on with their life. They've recovered from it and they're perfectly fine now. They don't think about it. It's not even a reminder. They don't have anything that reminds them of going through it. Whereas with this, every single day, you're reminded of the isolation. You're just reminded of everything. And when I take the thyroxine now, it's like, is this enough to keep me healthy? Will it be enough to keep my baby happy? What happens if I don't take it properly when I do get pregnant? You start just thinking about that, and it really starts clouding and bogging your mind down. Which is why I guess I wanted to make a video like this, because I don't think I've watched anything like it. And I wanted to know if other people were struggling with things like this that just really start clouding your mind. Because it's just frustrating. And also I wanted to document trying for a baby and try to ease other people's minds if they've gone through treatment like this or they've had something like this happen to them, that they're not alone. Because you feel so lonely going through it. Even though I'm going through everything with my husband and things like that, it's still isolating in a way, even 5 years later, going through this. It's a lonely place, and I want other people, especially women, to know that they're not alone with this. Like, I've met a number of people who've had like thyroid cancer, or they've had their thyroids taken out, and they seem just like they've gotten on with their lives. I wish I could do that, but I think that my journey with it was a bit more traumatic, because I didn't know, and then all of a sudden and your life just changes. Like, a number of people that I've met, they've known and they've gone into the operation expecting to have the diagnosis. They know that already that they've got the thyroid cancer, whereas I didn't know until years later. From 17 to 19, so a couple of years later, I didn't know. But I think that's just the purpose and why I wanted to make this, just to let people know that they're not alone, and that lots of people will go through things health-wise especially, and then your life does change. So I think that's why now it's so important to take care of your body. Just changes since going through treatment. Like, I've noticed that my face is a little lopsided, my voice is different, I've gained weight. So you are living with the repercussions as well. Like, you feel like a completely different person, and I guess if your face looks more puffy and your voice sounds different and you've gained weight, you feel like a completely different person. So I guess going through this journey now, I just wanted to let other people know, if they're struggling with this, loads of people are. I am. And I just want people to not feel alone while they're going through it, because it's a really lonely journey. I just want you to know that you're not alone. So I guess I just want to end this video on like a positive note. I think that, we're all like my family, and we all went through this together. It wasn't just me. And I think that going through this next stage of life, I want it to be very positive and uplifting, and I want to encourage others. And I think that this is just like a Bible verse that really stood out to me, and it says, your faith should not stand in the wisdom of man, but in the power of God. And that is in Corinthians 2 verse 5. And I think my faith is something that really did help me get through this, and I guess I want to document the next part of my journey, which is hopefully becoming a mother, and just really trying to start living my life to the full, because I feel like I've given so much of my life to the worry and the concern and just everything that could go wrong. You know, it's something that, you know, after I'd finished my last sort of treatment, everyone was like, well, this is it, you know, you go out and you start living your life to the full, and you're just so grateful and so happy and overjoyed that, you know, you're not sick anymore. I couldn't do that. Like, I just felt so, I just needed 5 seconds to breathe, and then that 5 seconds turned into like a year. I'd forgotten how to live, because I was living outside of doctor's appointments and blood tests and ultrasounds, and it's so odd. You know, as soon as, you know, I met my husband and we started, you know, we moved in together, and you start preparing for things, and it was so odd to actually be able to do that and know that everything is going to be fine. And these are things that come so easy to people. Why are they so hard for me? And I think that is just because I was so in bondage from what had happened, and it had happened such a long time ago. And I guess I just really want to start living my life to the full, and living the life that God intended for me to live, and not be just worried and bogged down and stressed about everything. So I hope that you will come on this journey with me and just see where life takes us in this season. Bye!